Imagine this. You're standing in the middle of the wild. You're hungry, not just hungry, starving, but there's no fire, no stove, no lighter, no matches. Fire doesn't even exist yet. So what do you eat? Would you eat the raw meat left behind by a lion? Would you dig through the dirt for insects and larvae? Or would you crack open a dead animal's bones just to suck out the marrow? Believe it or not, this is exactly what our ancestors did. And the wild part, this disgusting diet is literally what turned them into us. Today, we're diving into what humans ate before fire was discovered, how they survived, and how this diet permanently reshaped our bodies and our brains. By the end of this video, you'll realize your own body is still carrying the fingerprints of that ancient world. Let's get into it. On this channel, we dig into questions nobody really asks, but once you know the answer, it kind of blows your mind. If this is your first time here, hit subscribe, because after this video, you're never gonna look at your dinner plate the same way again. Let's set the timeline first. We're talking about roughly 2 to 5 million years ago. Back then, humans didn't look anything like us. Our ancestors were species like Homo habilis and later Homo erectus, and both were struggling to survive in a world with zero fire. Let's bust a myth right away. Most people assume early humans were expert hunters, taking down big game like lions or buffalo. That's not true. The truth is, early humans were mostly scavengers, meaning they survived off leftovers from other predators. Picture this, a lion makes a kill, eats its fill, and walks away. What's left? Bones and scraps of meat. That's when our ancestors would show up, armed with sharpened stone tools, and crack those bones open to get to the marrow inside. That marrow was pure gold. It was insanely calorie-dense and packed with fat, which made it a survival essential. And here's the crazy part. Even lions and hyenas couldn't get to that marrow because their jaws weren't built to crack bones that way. But humans, they had tools and brains. This is the exact moment where the idea of brains over brawn begins. Physically weaker, but mentally smarter. But marrow alone couldn't keep them alive. So what else was on the menu? Let's break down this ancient menu. And honestly, it's more exotic than most restaurants today. Insects. Yes, termites, ants, larvae. These were a solid source of protein and fat. Even today, in many parts of the world, people eat insects regularly. It's not primitive, it's actually an efficient food source that was easy to find. Tubers and roots. Remember, fruit was only available seasonally. But roots and tubers buried underground, like wild yams, were available year-round. Researchers believe this made them a reliable backup food source during lean times. Raw meat. Yes, completely raw. No salt, no spices, no cooking. Just whatever meat was scavenged or occasionally hunted in small amounts. Fruits and nuts. When the season allowed, fruit was part of the diet too, but it was never a main source since availability was too unpredictable. Now here's an interesting question. If the diet was this unpredictable, this raw, this rough, how did the body even adapt to survive on it? That's where things get a little weird. This part is a treat for anyone who loves science. Raw food is hard to chew and even harder to digest. That's why early humans had two things we don't have today. Huge jaws and teeth built for chewing raw meat and tough plants, and a massive intestine because digesting raw food took a lot more time and energy. Now there's a theory scientists love to discuss. The expensive tissue hypothesis. In simple terms, the body only has so much energy to spend. It can either afford to maintain a large gut or a large brain, but not both at full capacity at the same time. As long as the diet stayed raw, most of the body's energy was going toward digestion, leaving very little left over for the brain. In other words, until fire showed up, the brain simply couldn't grow to its full potential. And this is exactly where the turning point in human history begins. So when exactly was fire discovered? There's no single confirmed answer. Scientists still debate this. Some evidence in Africa points to controlled fire use as far back as 1 million years ago, but regular, everyday use likely started later, somewhere around 300 years ago. But here's the fascinating part. When fire arrived, it didn't just bring light and warmth. It completely redirected the course of human evolution. This is where anthropologist Richard Wrangham's famous cooking hypothesis comes in. His argument, cooked food delivers far more usable energy than raw food because the cooking process essentially pre-digests it. That means the body has to work much less to extract the same calories. The result, same calories, but way less digestive effort. So where did that saved energy go? Straight to the brain. As cooked food became the norm, jaws started shrinking, the intestine got smaller, facial structure began to change, and most importantly, the brain started growing rapidly. Some scientists even argue that if cooking hadn't been discovered, humans might never have reached the level of intelligence we have today. Fire didn't just keep us warm, it made us human. So the next time someone says, cooking is basic, remember that basic skill is literally the thing that separated us from every other animal on the planet. So next time you sit down to a hot cooked meal, take a second to think about it. You're not just filling your stomach, you're continuing a legacy that's millions of years old. A legacy that took us from scavengers to insect eaters and eventually to the humans we are today. If you found this video interesting, drop a like. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's the time. Because the next video is going to be just as mind-blowing. See you in the next one. Take care.